Good evening. My name is Andy Crisafulli, the Director of Athletics here at Joseph Case High School, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Winter Sports Athletic Banquet. A special thank you goes to all of our parents and guardians for your continued support of not only our school but our athletic program. Due to the hard work of both our student athletes and coaches, our athletic program continues to carry a long tradition of success both on and off the field. Most impressive are the many student athletes that not only participate in sports, but are also representing our high school in various clubs. There are honor roll students, and several of them are members of the National Honor Society. Athletically, Joseph Case High School competes against many schools that are much larger in enrollment, but being able to maintain competitiveness within the South Coast Conference is a testament to the hard work and commitment of our student athletes and our coaches. Tonight we will be recognizing not only the many individual and team accomplishments, but celebrating a very successful winter season. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the following individuals and thank them for their unwavering support of our athletic program. First is our principal, Mr. Brian McCann. Our assistant principal, Mr. Chris Costa. And the final person I'd like to recognize actually took a day off today, which is his first day off in quite some time, our athletic trainer, Mr. Russ Boardman. A big thank you goes to the Friends of the Cardinals who continue a great job assisting student athletes in organizing our potluck supper. To help me with tonight's banquet are the dedicated coaches that are sitting behind me, who will be introduced as their sport is presented. We have a rather lengthy program this evening, and you can follow along on the gold sheets that are located in the rear table of this room. And let's get started. Our first presenter this evening are our winter cheerleading coaches, Ashley Mello and Sarah Cavallo.
Hi. We would first like to start out by thanking everyone who made another great season possible, Mr. Crisafulli, Mr. Boardman, Mr. McCann, and Mr. Costa, and the Friends of the Cardinals for tonight's potluck. We would also like to thank Mr. Wenzel and the boys for a great and entertaining season. Last, a huge thank you to a new Ollerhead who runs our booster club and goes above and beyond to help us out, and Melissa Monty for all the treats that she brings to us at every game. We had really high hopes for this season, especially coming from a really successful fall season, but you know what they say, don't count your eggs before they hatch. Sorry. For a lot of reasons, we had fewer numbers than we hoped for, but that doesn't mean we didn't have a great season. Unfortunately, we realized our goal of competing was not going to be a reality this season, and we had switched our focus. We still pushed the girls because with only 2 seniors leaving us, we hope to see them all again next year and wanted to create a foundation of cheer for them that most of them haven't had as of yet, as we are still building this program. They really surprise us, and we can't wait for what the future holds for Case Cheer.
We're just going to say a few things about each of the girls on the team. Don't worry, there's only 8. It'll be quick. Abby Monty. Abby's a freshman and has impressed us right from the start. She isn't only multi-talented with great jumps, tumbling, and facials, she always has a fantastic attitude and tries her hardest 100% of the time, even though she's part of like a million things. Madison Raymundo. This girl has surprised us the most out of our 4 seasons coaching. She's quiet as a mouse most of the time, but she always listens to constructive criticism and fixes anything that has to be fixed. You can tell she truly loves cheerleading. Kaylin Beaupre. Kaylin was new to cheer this year, but she had a great attitude and was not hesitant to step up and try new stunts and things we were asking her to try that are probably scary for someone who has never cheered. Courtney Jacobson. Courtney brings positivity to the team. She was a pleasure to coach, and she always tried her hardest and wanted to make sure she was doing everything the correct way. And Shaylee Ollerhead. Shaylee was one of our captains this year as a sophomore. She's a true asset to the team with her stunting skills, perseverance, and leadership skills. We cannot wait to see what she can do to help this team grow as an upperclassman.
Our first Coaches Award goes to one of the girls with the most cheer experience on the team. She loves cheerleading and really puts her all into it. I think she stunted in every single stunt this season and only complained minimally. We have had the pleasure of coaching her for 3 seasons, and we cannot wait to see what the future brings. Our first Coaches Award goes to sophomore Haley Barboza. What? Congrats. You're welcome. The next Coaches Award goes to someone who definitely makes practices and games fun. She was one of our captains for the past 2 seasons and brought a lightness to the role that was appreciated by us and the rest of the team. There was rarely a time that she wasn't cracking jokes or... What does that say?
Or singing.
Or singing or something, but she knew when to buckle down and work. She is a great kid all around, and we are definitely going to miss her next year. Congratulations, Senior Captain Olivia Aubin.
She is.
I was like, what does that say?
Sorry, I should have spell checked it.
Signing. It said signing. You're welcome. Our last award is the MVP award. This girl was a chameleon. She has done every position this season with little complaints. She brought the skill level of the team up a notch, not only this season, but in the past 2 years we have gotten to coach her. Her true love for cheer is evident, and it's not going to be easy to replace her as an athlete on this team, that's for sure. She really will be seriously missed. This season's MVP goes to Lauren Mello.
You can hand out this one.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was nice knowing you.
We want to thank this girls for this season and all the memories we have made. We can't wait to see what you guys can accomplish, and if what you put your minds to, you can do it, in cheerleading or elsewhere. And to our seniors, you guys are going to be a hard role to fill. Thank you for all you have brought to the team in your 4 years. We wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Before we move to our second presenter, our athletic program not only services the sports that are going to be presented this evening, but we also have 2 separate co-ops, one for boys ice hockey and one for girls ice hockey. Our girls ice hockey team is a co-op with Stang, Somerset, Berkeley, Dartmouth, and Case. And we have one student athlete, Elizabeth LePage, who participates in that co-op. And we also have, for boys ice hockey, Somerset, Berkeley, and Case co-op. And we have Josh Salima, Jake Salima, Sean Patota, Jake Parquette, Noah Yost, and Andrew Jennings. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize them. And I know they enjoyed their seasons. They have their separate banquets at their respective schools, but I certainly wanted to take a moment to recognize those student athletes who participate in those co-ops. Okay, on to our second presenter, who is our boys and girls indoor track and field coach, who is Bob Mitchell.
Thank you, guys. All right, just remember, I have 2 sports to do. I'll start with the girls' track team, but first, the only thing I don't like about these speeches, we thank people. I'm always worried I'll forget someone, so in this moment, if I forget you, please know that doesn't mean I didn't appreciate whatever contributions you made. But I'd like to thank the administrators. I always thank Mr. Christofoli for giving me the opportunity to coach. It's certainly a privilege. My captains, to be a track captain is a big deal because we practice at multiple sites all over the building, and they have tremendous responsibility, and on the boys and girls team, they do a great job. Russ Boardman, certainly he's not here tonight, but he is the best trainer you could possibly have, so I always like to thank him. And I'd like to congratulate the other coaches and the other teams on the great seasons you had. All the games I could get to, I certainly enjoyed. Coach Agile, maybe the biggest asset the K Sports has. He's not here tonight, but he does all 3 seasons, and in between seasons, he's in the weight room. During the summer, he's in the weight room. He's on the property probably more than anyone else to do with Case Athletics. So I always want to thank him, and he's just done a tremendous job. When we talk about the shot putters, you all know what I mean. I think coaching is different from years ago. You used to just have to coach kids, and you never really talk to parents. But now you got to deal with parents as well. And that's probably the best part of coaching track, because it's not like little conversations in the hallway after games. And we go to Boston, we're together for 5 or 6 hours sometimes. And I'll always appreciate parents that drive to Boston, deal with horrible parking, and come in and sometimes watch their kid run for under 8 seconds. So the parents that help make up the track family, I really appreciate you. The other person I got to welcome, I didn't forget him, is Mark Fairchild. Joined us this year. All right, all right. As soon as we had the opening, Mark stepped up, and I could have been happy. He did a great job, and the number of distance runners we have really reflect that. All right. To the girls' track team, and we're going to talk, some kids are going to get awards. Some kids who had great seasons. But everyone contributed, and one of the most exciting thing about the track team are the freshman girl distance runners. We had to deal with having one distance runner for 3 events the last couple of years and giving away points, and for some reason we found 5 girls that are willing to go out in the snow and rain and run distance. The girls team, they did get a couple wins this year. There's meets the boys win, the girls don't score a point in, but I won't be saying that in a couple of years. The boys are the seniors leave. You boys are going to have to work hard to be better than the girls. This is the year the girls' track program changed, and the future is very bright for them. If you look at their odds, it's all freshmen and sophomores. So I'm going to get right to the awards. The first, I'm going to do the Sportsmanship Award. And the first, this award is going to go to a very reluctant athlete. Didn't necessarily want to join track. We talked into joining track, but we need a distance runner, so we convinced her to be a distance runner. And after every practice, she'd come up to me and say, I'd want to be a sprinter, and I'd walk away from her without ever acknowledging her presence. And that went on for a few weeks. No, it was mean, and it really happened. But she had a great attitude, and as the season went on, her times got better and better. She dropped like 40 seconds in the mile, and she'd come back, and at the end, her season ended before the SEC. So her season was over. I thought she'd enjoy the break, and after her season was over, she continued to show up to practice so some of the other girls wouldn't have to run by themselves. And I think she'll be very surprised to be called up here today, but Brianna Michael, come on up. Now we're going to get to a coach's award. And it's funny, this is another person, when she said, you know what, I'm going to do track again, I kind of said, I'm all set. Because she had done it before her sophomore year. I think she had an okay time. And when she joined this time, I said, you're a senior, you're coming out for the sport again. I wasn't convinced she'd really like it. And she was a captain of my soccer team. She really quickly became a leader. She proves for all the kids out here in the spring sports, if you're not named a captain, you can still be a leader, and she was a leader. She said, I'll just specialize in the high jump. The shortest race is the 55. She did not want to even run the 55. When we need someone to run the 4x400, which is not a fun race, she saw me asking younger kids to run it, and she said, don't ask them, I'll do it. The kid who didn't really want to run ended up running at the state meet in the 4x200 team, and they missed the school record by 0.2 of a second. I think I've coached her like 6 seasons so far. That makes me a very lucky person. Order Medeiros. All right, the other coach's award goes to someone. She scored 25 varsity points. I don't know if that matters. I just want to say it because she has no idea how many points she earned. She did any event the team needed her to do to help out. Shot put, high jumping one time, I think, hurdles, 4x4, whatever we needed. She had a desire to be a captain, And again, I was really difficult. I'm not going to give that away. I made her work really hard to do it, and I thought, all right, I finally named a captain. I thought she might be a good captain. I was wrong. She was a great captain. And I was talking to a mom earlier today with all these events, she's saying she didn't really have a specialty. She did a little bit of everything, but she did have a specialty. The team really turned the corner. It's probably the nicest team I've been around. And I could take credit for turning the girls' program around because the boys' track program came together right away. And it's taken the girls' team a couple years to be a cohesive unit, and I give all that credit to Rebecca Prue. She would cheer. Come on up, Rebecca. I'll keep talking. She cheered loudly, whoever is in first place, but she cheered just as loudly for people in last place. And the best example I can give, she was in my room this week, and she had worked out the day before, and she said, I can barely walk. I can't work out. There's no way I can work out today. I'm going to die. And that's what teenage girls say because they're not dramatic at all. And Elizabeth LePage came in and said, oh, my God, Rebecca, you're here. We can work out. And she said, okay, let's go. So, Rebecca Prue. All right, the next one. My notes are kind of scribbled. While they were writing their speeches today after school, I was off getting maybe the best haircut in the world, so you just got to give me a second. That's not a joke. It's a really good haircut, Kyle. All right. SEC, honorable mention. This comes to another girl to get to do track I lied to. The lie you tell girls distance running is a lot of teams don't have a bunch of 2-milers. So if you run girls' distance, sometimes you finish the race, you might place. And I told them, well, it's the easiest way to get a varsity letter. And they do the math, and they say, all right, that makes sense. And then they join track, and they run 5-6 miles in the rain and the snow. And they say, what's so easy about this? And I said, I lied, but it's too late for them to quit. This next girl, she ran the mile and the 2-mile. She run really well. And then she'd run another race about the same time. And she'd be, oh, I think I plateaued. And then the next time she ran, she would beat the time by like 40 seconds. She has incredible heart and ability. She's only a freshman. She placed 3rd in the 2-mile. And what's really exciting about that, the top 3 kids at the SECs, 2-mile. When I say you place in the SECs, there's 10 teams. So that means, like, let's do some math. On 8 teams, she would be the best 2-miler. So when you have 1st, 4th, it might not mean much. It means a lot. She's a future star. And she qualified for the D5 state meet, which many qualifying for state meet, most track athletes go their whole career without earning that. So come on up, Alyssa Storm. The next, here I am. The next honorable mention goes to an athlete I've coached in different sports, and what event does she do? All you get asked is what's the most difficult event, and she'll do it. What does the team need? And every sport, she does that unselfishly. 600 is not a natural race for her. She's a sprinter. We talked her into doing it in her first race. It's an awful race, particularly if it's not something you've trained for. She jumped right in. And she qualified for the SECs. She got better and better at it. And then finally, we just couldn't let her be that unselfish anymore, and we put her in the 55 and the 300, and she turned out to really be like a state-level competitor. She at the SECs, I believe, she got 4th place. She ran on that 4x2 team that nearly broke the school record. I think you ran hurdles once, 600, so she's done a lot of different events, and she's a kid with a tremendously bright future in the sport. I couldn't be happier when she, told me after soccer that she was coming out for track. So come on up, Megan Borges. Now I have one all-SEC person who also won our MVP. I think it's the third time I've given her an MVP award in the sport, and she's a sophomore. And sometimes I run out of things to say about this kid. She by far led the team in scoring. She finished third at the SEC, so as a sophomore, she'd be the best runner in a number of teams. At the state meet, she set a new school record. Broke her own record, she said, as a freshman. When you break a school record, I always say you're the best 55 runner in the history of the school, because we forget that's what it means. So this kid may be the fastest kid girl that's ever walked these hallways. The 55 is the sprinter's race, and the best sprinters run the 55. So I have run last year, I think as a freshman, I said something like she's one of the best athletes I've ever been around. That remains true, but there was a quote I said in the Spectator, I believe it was, that says probably the truest statement I can make about her. She never ceases to amaze me. That's in track and in the classrooms, in the hallways, the way she conducts herself. She always amazes me. She's a great athlete, an even better person. She was a sophomore captain this year. One of the reasons she's a captain, I respect and trust her opinion, because she's always fair. She doesn't like the credit. I just live for when she sets a school record, instead of wanting to parade or something like that, she just gives you a thumbs up from the infield, and that's enough for her. The long jump, she's also a state-level competitor at the long jump. If people associate with track know we can't practice that and we don't have it at our meet. So we just show up at the big meets and we say, go run and jump. And with those instructions, she's one of the better long jumpers around. So come on up, Meredith Castro. Congratulations, make more room in the trophy case. All right, now to the boys team. Actually, at this time, could all the boys on the track team stand up? All of them. Come on, stand. You can do it. Stand. Come on, Ty. Stand. All right, good job. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the D5 state relay champions. All right, good job, guys. Sit. You guys, I want to do that. Not everyone competed in that event. If you practiced with us and went to our meets, you were part of that championship, whether you were in a meet or not. That's a state-level championship. It's the first one, I think, in case history. I look back, I couldn't find another one. When I say one, there were 38 to 40 teams competing there that day. We only scored in 4 events. We took, I think, 2 firsts and 2 seconds, and that's all we needed. There's 2 state meets each year, a relay and a regular meet. And going indoor and outdoor track, I think in the last 6, we've been in the top 10 in the state. At the Division 5 state meet, with 3 or 4 events to go, they announced the scores, and we were in first place. We ended up finished 4th. There were 62 teams there that day. We were 3rd in the SEC. And again, you're going to see a bunch of stars. You're going to see a bunch of school record holders come up today. But again, the foundation of the team is the people that are at practice every day. So it's kids not coming on the stage. It may be the most important kids. The stage, and I look around and I see people like Ben, Will, Riley, Jay, and these are the people that are there every day that are helping whatever you do. And the other group that I got to mention, a group of the shot putters, all of you. People ask, where'd you find these guys? The SEC relays, they've won 2 years in a row by about 10 feet each time. And at the D5 state relays, they were the best in Division 5. You beat one team by a foot and no one else was close to you. And we do. People say, we don't know how we're going to compete if you guys keep finding these shot putters. So once again, thank you, Jay Agile. School records, I want to announce it because we do this all the time. We break school records. And this is the end of the era as these seniors leave. It's not normal to go to a track meet and let's say, all right, let's get on the bus and go over all the school records we broke today. We broke the 4x200 record. The 4 guys that ran in the state meet, we'll talk about them in a little bit. But also, Nick Viveras was on that team early in the year before he was injured. Brandon Bernardic broke the shot put record, and Kyle Kohler a hurdle record. Noah Coy gave a heck of a shot at the 55 record, and Devin Prue threatened the high jump record all season. All right, the first one is a sportsmanship award, and it's going. As someone who was more of a technician in the past, but he really dedicated himself to the weight room. He's part of every successful shot put relay team we had, and they've won both championships they were involved in this year. He presents himself well at meets. When I think it's sportsmanship, he's always talking to other coaches, he's always talking to other competitors, and presents himself very well. He's a captain, he's polite, and he's accountable and resourceful. And this isn't his main event. But right now, Paul, I'm more than a discus thrower. Souza, come on up. You're welcome. All right, as I jump around, the next one I got is the Coaches Award. This one's going to go to seniors. Another one always presents himself as a gentleman. He's responsible, he's a hard worker, and there's a big age range in high school sports from freshmen to seniors, and he's a senior, he's a very good role model. And when he gets beat because someone's faster than him. He never gets beat because someone outworked him. He works tremendously hard in practice. And in the SEC, he missed qualifying, I think, for the SECs by 1 second. And I felt bad because he worked so hard, and I felt his disappointment, so I kind of hope this makes up for it, so come on up, Tyler Paquette. Hey, Tyler, congratulations. I count. Whoops. When I handed it to him, I almost dropped it. It made me feel like one of my relay teams. All right. The next one's another person, and if you worked with Coach Ashley, he preaches the weight room, and it'll give you better results later on. This is an SEC honorable mention. It's another shot putter. We saw increased dedication in the weight room, and he went from being a very good shot putter, which he's always been, to elite. He broke the school record a number of times. You can tell me when you come up. I don't know where you ended up, to be honest, 44-7, 44-9. He placed third in the SECs. Again, he was our top shot putter, but he's part of a unit. There's 6 places at the SEC. We took 3 of those spots. That means the other 9 teams took 3 spots, and we took 3 spots. So, and I'm hoping he has just a good outdoor season. Brandon Bernardo, come on up. A few more to go. The problem is, I went to the SEC meeting, and honestly, we just won so many more awards than I expected. It exceeded all expectations, and it's a reflection of what other coaches in the league think about us. The next SEC honorable mention, it's going to sound, this guy, there's no way he was leaving tonight without an award. And as he wins this award, I almost feel guilty he's only getting 1 award tonight. But because of the success of the team and the numbers we had, I try and spread it out a little bit. He's one of the hardest workers you'll ever coach. He's come back from an injury to get ready for the season. He ran cross country. You could say we don't have a cross country team. You know that, I know that. I don't think he knows that. He competed as an individual and go to meets and compete without a team. Sometimes, I think there's one big meet at the end. I actually went with him, was able to see him run, and he ran really well. He was doing a great job. There was a big meet at Reggie Lewis in Boston, which we go to, and we could sneak him in that event. He wasn't going to be one of the fastest time in the events, and I wasn't sure he'd be able to keep up with the pace. But he's someone I have a lot of faith with, so we put him in that event, and he ended up not only beating his best time by 15, 16 seconds, he set a new school record. So someone, any coach would be lucky to have an athlete like him on a team. Come on up, Austin Michael. Oh, no problem. I'm sorry. This next award I'm excited to give because This person's an important part of the team, and he's a really important part of the team going forward, and giving him an award might be long overdue. He's a member of that school record 4x200 team, which I haven't mentioned all the names. It was Noah Coit, Antonio Luna, Devin Prue, and Kyle Cola. And they did it at, I think it was, we did it at the D5 state meet, the only team. Times won't mean anything to anyone else, but you went under 135. I was talking to the guys in the cafeteria, and I'll get back to the award in a second. And I looked at the New England results, and the kid who won the 55 in New England's we beat in the relay. You know, he ran the first leg, Nick stayed close, and we killed him on the other 3 legs. And that's one thing that's different about track. You guys go have some big games and big competitions. When we go to the all-state meet, we had guys competing. We had Devin, right, Kyle, and the relay team. We saw a kid run the 2-mile. It was the fastest time in the country that year. We saw one of our favorite track athletes from Milton show up, one kid, and he nearly won the team event just by all the points he scored. The kid who ran the fastest time in the 2-mile earlier that day, he'd run a 4:12 mile. So these guys, I could show you the list from New England. We've competed against some of the best people in all of New England. Back to this. He was on the 4x200 team that set the record. He's an excellent 300 runner. Barely got beat this year. He was second at the SECs. And the whole SECs, all the other 9 teams, found one kid that could beat him. I was excited. He was disappointed. So I don't think he plans on finishing second again. The 300, he could have gone on and run it at the state meet and maybe placed, and he graciously backed out of that so he'd be fresh for the 4x200 so they could go for a school record. An unselfish person and just a great athlete. Come on up, Antonio Luna. And as we go up, you notice we have a lot of seniors, but with Antonio coming back, and I haven't mentioned him at all, and Isaac Tucker coming back next year, we'll be okay. We'll still have very strong leadership. All right, the next award, I think I got 2 more to go. He was all SEC and a co-MVP. He's the best hurdler in the history of the school. He's versatile. He placed at the SEC in 3 events. So in 3 events, he finished in the top 6. He did more events than that once I took my eye off him when he was off throwing the shot put. When it came time to vote, after all the automatic bids, the coaches there said, just put Kyle's name up. They thought you were too good an athlete to vote on. He's part of the 4x200 record. I said he set at the state meet, he set the hurdles school record. He broke a record that was previously held by Kyle Cola. And before that, the record was held by Kyle Cola. And before that, I can keep going. I lost track of how many times he's broken the record. He's one of the athletes that Stuart and I started coaching. They said, yes, Mr. Mitchell, who coaches soccer, is going to be your new track coach. They were very gracious, and when I went there, they said, oh, good, you ran track, which I did. And 12 seasons in high school and 4 seasons in college, but I was a distance runner. I'm now coaching the sprinters. He's one of the athletes that bought in to what I was doing right away, and he made my job much easier, and he's one of the main reasons we've had such success as a program. Come on up, Kyle Cola. He's got that look. I think he's going to hug me. No, you don't understand. He does that all the time. He doesn't have to win an award. He just has to see you in the hallway. All right, my last award. This kid's another kid like Kyle's been part of the track program since they're actually in 8th grade. This season, he was the face of Case Track. He was the one here every day making sure everything went well. Every successful sprinters relay team we've had, and when we go to big meets, we expect to win or get second. If we get third, we're terribly disappointed. He's been, whatever distance, 100, 200, the 55 one, he's been a part of it. He gets strong as the season goes on. there was an early dual meet. I think he got third against two other teams. Like Noah in third place. By the time, he always gets better as the season goes on. He always peaks at the right moment. That means going to championship season, I can always trust what he's going to do. So besides being one of the record holders for the 4x200, he was our only individual champion in the 55. He beat everyone that was to beat in the SEC. Beating kids that had previously beaten him. He rises at the big moments, and that'd be a great way to end his career, indoor track. But then he went to the D5 state meet and set a PR, and just missed going on to the all-state meet in an individual event. Two of the kids ahead of him were some of the fastest kids in all of New England. One of them went on to win the New England, and there was a separate kid who won that state meet. So he was going against New England and state champions that day, and he still got fourth. He's someone that bought into what we did right away, and just like I said about Kyle, he's someone I would not have the success. The track program would not be where it is without Noah Coit. So come on up, Noah. All right, to finish up, I said it, obviously since he won, he was all SEC as well. He was an automatic bid. When I went to it, we got 2 honorable mentions, 3 all SECs, a sportsmanship award. I had down in my book, I might get 3, how I'm going to move people around. So I said, I can't believe we're leaving with 6 awards. I was wrong. It came time to vote for the SEC Sportsmanship Award, and the coaches picked the Case boys. Often that award goes to teams that's not as successful and demonstrates great sportsmanship. So to be voted in by coaches of teams that we beat meant a lot to me. So that's another award. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Just a friendly reminder, we have George Austin here from The Spectator, who we always love to see come to our banquets, and he's going to be taking pictures of our award winners in the gymnasium after the awards portion of this banquet has concluded. So if you are an SEC All-Star, SEC Honorable Mention, Sportsmanship Award, Coaches Award, Team MVP, please make sure that you stick around, report to the gymnasium, and we'll organize you, and he'll be happy to take our pictures and put us in the Spectator. So thank you, Mr. Austin. Mr. Costa in the back just sent me a text that we have a pocketbook in the cafeteria that was left, and it's Alyssa Rodriguez. All right, Mr. Officer Mello, that is in the back, has your pocketbook, so please make sure that you see him at some point before the end of the banquet. So thank you, Officer Mello. So our next presenter this evening is our girls basketball coach, Dave Silva.
All right. First off, I want to start out by thanking a short list of people, but the administration, Mr. McCann, Mr. Costa, for all the support throughout the year, the Friends of the Cardinals, the faculty at Case, they come and support us. The girls love to see them when they're there, so we want to thank them for supporting us throughout the season. The parents, I mean, they travel to Bourne, Old Colony, at 5 o'clock. They get out of work. They're always at the games supporting the girls, so thank you. I want to congratulate all the athletes here, all the coaches here on their seasons. Coach Wenzel and the boys, congratulations on a big year. It's always great to work with you guys and sharing the gym time and the whole 9 yards. It's like a 1-2 step. There's never an issue, so thank you. Want to thank Mr. Crisafulli. All he does is not just as the athletic director. Most people don't realize when it comes to girls basketball, he's the director for the conference. So he's in a bunch of meetings, always supporting our team, as well as working with the other teams and coaches. So thank you for that. And also Russell Boardman, I know he's not with us tonight. I've been working with him now for 17 years. He's the best trainer around. We're very fortunate to have him here. So I want to thank him. In regards to the coaching staff, Coach Plant, she's in her 3rd year as an assistant coach. She does an incredible job with assisting the varsity team on a daily basis. She does a lot of work with our post players. And every once in a while when I mix it up, she goes back to her natural position as a player, guard. So I want to thank her for doing that. As an alumni who played for me for 4 years, she provides a great example for the student athletes about the program and the expectations that we have. So I want to thank her. All right, so on to the season. This year we had a young team. We had 1 senior, 13 underclassmen. You know, it's kind of a cliche, but it's baptism by fire. When you're playing in this year, you know, we only played the SEC Big once, but all 4 of those teams at one point was ranked number 1 or 2 in their division. So with a young team, it was really growing quickly. You know, and to even kind of complement that, we only had 2 players returning who had a full season of varsity. So with that said, we grew as the year went on. Our focus was to improve each day, grow as a program and a team throughout the season. I can absolutely say that these young ladies this season really laid a positive foundation from the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and our seniors to build on moving forward in the 2018-2019 season. Excuse me. As the season progressed, you could see the improvement game to game, and I think that's the most important thing. You know, we won our first game, then we had, you know, the 3 weeks from hell, I guess. But we figured it out. And the reason I say that is in the last 3 weeks, we were playing 500 ball. Teams we lost to, we beat. Teams that we lost to, the games came down to the wire. So you saw that progression from such a young group. And it was great to see. And it's a credit to them, because when you deal with adversity, you have 2 ways you can go. You can go backwards, or you can rise up. And these young ladies rose up. They came to practice every day, worked hard. They dealt with the adversity. They got better. Sometimes I can be a pain to deal with because the expectation's always here, and we practice always to that level. And I think what's most impressive was the camaraderie within the team. I've never seen a group of ladies that absolutely loved each other more than this group, which was absolutely nice to see on a daily basis. With that said, I couldn't be more prouder of this team. This year, as their coach, I had an absolute blast coaching them. Each day, I look forward to going to practice, and I absolutely can't wait to see these ladies next season. Obviously, it starts sooner than next season, though. We got to keep the ball in our hands a little bit, the summer league will come before we know it. But absolutely, the growth from day one on November 27th to February 16th was incredible. Just want to list our varsity letter recipients quickly, and then I'll get on to the awards. We had freshman Annie Zhang, freshman Hannah Pelletier, freshman Riley Fitzgerald, sophomore Gabby Vita, sophomore Rebecca Reese, sophomore Aubrey Carpenter, sophomore Alexis Jeffrey, sophomore Amber Aruda. You're noticing the trend when I say youth. Junior Tegan Souza, junior Jenna Zhang, junior Alyssa Fieldhauer, junior Maddie Medeiros, junior Rachel Davidson, and our senior, who we love, Kylie. All right, on to the awards. First award is our SEC/Team Sportsmanship Award. This player is a 3-year member of the program. The best word about her is positive, has a positive attitude all the time, constantly focuses on the next play, Never gets caught up with when there's a bad call. Never gets caught up when she gets fouled, and maybe it was a really hard foul because she goes to the hoop a lot. Always encourages her teammates, and she gives a lot of high fives. I actually, they showed me one where she stole the ball from a girl, scored it, and she turned around thinking it was Maddie, and she gave a high five to the other team, which was classic. I don't know if they knew what was going on there, but I've never laughed so hard in my life. Just a great all-around person, great to coach. Can't wait for next season. Alyssa Fieldhouse. Our next award's a coach's award. This athlete leads, off the court, both as a, she leads the team as a player, both on and off the court. I don't know how many teachers come up to me and talk to her about her in the classroom. Incredible student, and I was fortunate enough to teach her last year in the class, but I'm very fortunate to be able to have coached her for the last 3 years. Her work ethic and overall effort is contagious. I don't know how many times I hear, she's the kid that runs through a wall, does whatever's asked. Hard-nosed defender, hustles every single play. She had a huge transition her whole life. She was stronger than everyone, played inside. Then life hit and she stopped growing. So, the past 12 months, we've kind of developed her into a perimeter player. And she kind of played in a 4-guard system, multiple different roles. But then on the defensive end, when teams went bigger, she had to go back to that, using her strength, trying to defend a mismatch. She's starting to define what LeBron James calls the idea of positionless basketball, as we've kind of had to figure out with having a team of 5'5" and less outside of 2. She was named captain by her teammates, and she's the type of athlete any coach wants to coach. She does all the intangibles. Coach's award goes to Maddie Medeiros. Our next award goes to a 4-year member of the program, just named captain by our peers. My opinion, she defines selflessness. She's a team-first player. For 4 years, she did every role that was asked for her. She started off on the bench on JV, moved up her sophomore year to start in JV. Junior year, playing half and half, never complained, always did what was ever asked for her. Play post, play guard. Senior year, she started the first game, then a couple games she didn't start. She came off as the 6th man. We had someone get sick. She takes over the starting role. The last 9 games, she's the second leading scorer on the team, second leading rebounder on the team. It was just an incredible transformation to watch her grow over 4 years. In about 3 weeks, I think it is, she's going to be our Dave Collins nominee. Which is a very prestigious award, which 22 schools in the area nominate their senior, and those individuals get together at New Bedford Voc, and they kind of highlight their careers and get picked as the area's top senior basketball player. This year, she received the SEC Honorable Mention All-Star Award as well. I have nothing but great things to say about her. I've said a million things on senior night. Coaches Award goes to Kyler Camp. And SEC honorable mention. All right. Our final award goes to a three-year varsity player who was named captain this season, led the team in scoring, assists, steals. We had the unfortunate situation where at Dartmouth, she goes for a loose ball, or she was pushed into someone's knee. We had to miss it for a month. And, like I said earlier, we made no excuses. As a team, we came together. But she was a very important piece to what we were trying to do in our system. And when she came back, it took us some time, to get her in shape, but then to get the camaraderie within the team. And I think that's why the last 9 games we started playing pretty good ball. Sets a positive example for the team. Rarely came off the court. Best example, I went at Fairhaven, played 36 minutes. Normally I wouldn't do that, considering we had a game the night we had a game the next night. But I mean, it was just a nip and tuck game. This year, Rachel was selected at the SEC meeting as an honorable mention All-Star. Also, she was selected by the New Bedford-Wareham Boys and Girls Club as an All-Star. And what basically that is they have like a board, and they take a pool of names of the area's basketball players who might have made All-Star teams, honorable mentions for their leagues, and they vote and pick these teams. So this is really something that didn't have much to do with me. The SEC meeting, I fight and I advocate for our kids. The name goes there, and a bunch of people I don't know decide if you make this All-Star team. Now, on March 24th, she's going to compete against the All-Stars in the EAC, the Big Three, in Westport. The SEC All-Stars will be there as well, and Dartmouth. So it's an incredible honor to get. And this year, she is an SEC honorable mention All-Star and our MVP, Rachel Davidson. I didn't know if you wanted to present it since they're not here. Good luck to all the spring athletes. I'll be there to see you play.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Now, our MVP for girls basketball and boys basketball continues. That trophy continues to be sponsored by our Swansea American Legion Post 303. We would like to, again, continue to thank them for their support. Not only do they do our MVP trophies for basketball, but they also sponsor our football MVP in the fall. Now, before we move to our last presenter, I'd like to remind our student athletes to make sure they see their coaches post awards banquet for letters and pins for those individuals who did earn a varsity letter. Varsity letters are earned by accomplishing the criterias that the coaches set in preseason meetings. Everyone's very, very transparent as to what student athletes have to do to earn a letter, and those individuals will be congratulated, and a letter and a pin will go to them post-banquet. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our last speaker of the night, who is our boys basketball coach, Dan Wenzel.
All right. I'd first like to congratulate all the athletes and the coaches up here on their fantastic seasons. I'd like to thank Mr. McCann and Mr. Costa for their support at our games this year, Mr. Christofoli for his hard work and dedication to Case Athletics, and for his continued support for what the basketball program is trying to build. Mr. Boardman, he's not here, but for his tireless work with our players, he truly is the best trainer in the SEC. My assistant coach, Joey Cabral in the back over there, for his work with our JV team and his support this season. Joey's calm demeanor is the perfect complement to my insanity. And I hope that he'll be back with us next year. I'd like to thank the faculty, the parents, the cheerleaders for their support throughout the season, the Friends of the Cardinals as well, and the players for coming ready to play every day, buying into what we're trying to do here. Slowly but surely, we're changing things. I'm extremely proud of this group of student athletes. When I took over the program about 2.5 years ago, we talked at length about building a culture, establishing an identity, and leaving a legacy. And this season was a tremendous step forward for our program with regards to those three things. We continued to add bricks to the foundation that was laid last year. We established an identity, one of a hard-nosed, defensive-minded team with a chip on their shoulder. In the 3 seasons that I've been the coach, our opponents' points per game averages have gone from 68.3 in year 1, 67.8 in year 2, and this season we held our opponents to an average of 50.3 points per game. To improve your defense by 17.5 points per game from one year to the next, right, really is a testament to the boys' commitment and their hard work and buying into what we've been preaching about what winning programs do. I'm especially proud and thankful for this group of seniors. To improve the way they have over the course of their 4 years is nothing short of remarkable. These guys went through a 2-19 JV season their freshman year, a 1-17 season as sophomores, their first year on the varsity, a 9-13 junior year that saw tremendous growth for our program, and then they just finished their senior year 14-7, and played in a home playoff game. Well, God knows it didn't end exactly the way we wanted it to. These seniors are leaving this basketball program in a better place than it was when they arrived, right? And that's one heck of a legacy to leave. And to the guys coming back, right? Successful programs have successful seasons, right? It's the job of you guys to continue adding to the bricks of the foundation that these seniors have laid, right? Make each day count this off season. Practice with a purpose, and remember that every day, like we talk about in practice, right? We want to be better than the day before. All right. Our Coaches Awards. What sticks out the most about this player is how hard he works in practice. The ultimate team guy, came to practice every day and pushed the guys to play harder and be better without worrying about his playing time. Whether we were doing closeouts, conditioning, or playing 5-on-5, he always gave 100%. And as a coach, I appreciated every minute of it. He's the type of teammate all good teams have, caring more about the team than himself. I'm going to miss him and his beach towel next year. All right, my first Coaches Award goes to the Worm, Jared De Silva. My next Coach's Award goes to an individual who was a defensive catalyst for us this year. A tough player. He was always counted on to play the top of our pressure and always cover the other team's best player. Even though there were times when we questioned his sanity, he never let the voices get to him. Next year, he's going to be counted on to be a leader for us and do a little bit of everything. Second Coach's Award goes to Christopher Costa. This next player was the only senior I didn't have the pleasure of having as a student. If you knew him in middle school, it's probably a good thing, because I don't think he would have made it out alive. Possessing a great attitude and incredibly long arms, he could probably stand in the middle of this auditorium and touch both walls. He finished second on the team in points per game and second on the team in rebounds per game. He's definitely someone I'm going to miss next year. An honorable mention, SEC All-Star, Bradley Martell. The next individual was a do-it-all type player for us this year. He had the ability to shoot, put it on the ground, post up, and guard multiple positions. He was our sixth man for most of the year and then stepped into a starting role towards the end of the season. My favorite thing about him was his willingness to give up his body. The boys know how excited I get when one of them takes the charge, and this individual was the only one to take one on purpose this year. We were a little concerned when he took a charge against a Banquet 6'6" monster, but he bounced right back up. It'll be weird not having someone from his family in the program next year. Leader for us on and off the floor, an honorable mention SEC All-Star, Will Kenyon. For this next individual, very important player for us this year. Fantastic on and off the ball defender. He was instrumental in our team's improvement on the defensive end this year. He has an incredibly high basketball IQ, and he's going to be counted on to shoulder a great deal of responsibility next year as not only a returning starter, but a returning captain. The best thing I can say about him is he's coachable. I just wish I could get him to take a charge. Our SEC Sportsmanship Award recipient, Logan Sherratt. What's up? Going good? All right, this next individual is the perfect example of how having a strong work ethic really is the key to success. 3-year varsity starter. This year he cemented himself as one of the all-time greats at Case High School. An extremely hard worker. Drew has the ability to beat defenses inside and out. With averages of 24.8 points per game and 10.3 rebounds per game, Drew faced a box-and-one defense every game this season. Not only did he surpass the 1,000 point mark this year, the first to do so for the boys since 1978, he became the boys' all-time leading scorer, finishing his career with 1,063. 2? I'm shocked you didn't give yourself the extra point. His hard work and dedication to basketball was recognized when he was voted the first ever MVP of the South Coast Conference. To me, what makes Drew special is his attitude and how coachable he is. Most coaches will say that it makes their team better by having someone like Drew play for them. And every coach will say it makes their life easier when their best player is someone you can constantly get on, berate, right, about every little thing they do and respond the way he does. I put a lot of pressure on him this year, and he responded to every challenge. It's tough to see a player of Drew's caliber go. He made himself into one heck of a player, and I have no doubt that he will be successful at the next level. An SEC All-Star, a Boys and Girls Club All-Star, the SEC MVP, our Dave Cowan's Award nominee, and our team MVP. A tough act to follow, Drew Plant.
This time I need to call him back up after, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, we have two more presentations this evening, and the first presentation that we're going to make, I would like to invite Mr. Jim Hall, who is in our audience. And Jim was a 1978, I apologize, I had to mention that year, Jim, but 1978 graduate here of Joseph Case High School. And the reason why I'm inviting Jim up to the podium is Jim was the last 1,000-point scorer we had as a male student athlete here in the building. We've had quite a few for the ladies. We've only had, with Drew, is the third that we've had in the history of our school. And it's just fortunate that Jim, again, has coached many of these boys for a very, very long time, and the conversations I've had with him of how proud he is of each and every one of you. I think it's just great that he's able to be here and to make this presentation. So I'd like to invite Drew back up. So we tried to make this this presentation during the Wareham game of state tournament. Unfortunately, the ball was not in time. So this is 1,000-point ball, Drew Plant versus Wareham on February 12th, 2018. And I'd like for Jim, as the former, the last 1,000-point scorer, to present to our newest 1,000-point scorer. Thank you so much, Jim. I ask that Drew stays up here for one final presentation. As Mr. Wenzel, Coach Wenzel mentioned, Drew was voted South Coast Conference MVP for boys basketball. This is something new that with our conference expansion and all the changes that we've made, we've, as athletic directors, voted to select one individual from each sport to be the most valuable player of the conference in every sport. Other sports have done something similar to this, but we never had one kind of blanket policy. So on behalf of the South Coast Conference and the athletic directors, I'd like to congratulate Drew as being the first recipient of the boys' most valuable player of the South Coast Conference. Thank you guys, I appreciate it. Thanks, Jim. Okay, just again, so a couple of housekeeping items. Please make sure that award winners stick around and report to the gymnasium for pictures to be taken. Guys, we also have next Wednesday we're closing registrations for spring sports, so please make sure that you register for spring sports. If you haven't already, please do so and consider playing. Student athletes can come see their coaches for pins and letters. Thank you very much and have a great evening.